Allow, accept, embrace. That's the topic for today. And this was originally introduced to me through the Gene Keys. If you haven't heard of the Gene Keys, it's a really cool system of really helping you understand at a DNA cellular level what you're really here to do and how you're meant to live your gifts in this life. It's been a really incredible journey actually following this allow, accept, embrace kind of experiment. And that's the way I like to describe it. So when I was first introduced to Gene Keys, it certainly tested my impatience, but it was a really inviting inquiry in how can I be more patient with my own healing, with my own growth. A lot of times I find these kind of new systems, like Gene Keys, human design. Some people love the Enneagram, and they want to dive in and know all the details. They want to study it in depth, which is totally awesome, but you're not going to become an expert overnight. It's going to take some time. And of course, me being the diehard wanting to learn everything about growth and inner wisdom that I can, I, of course, wanted to understand everything about the Gene Keys all in one sitting. And why do I not already understand it? But there was something really beautiful about my first introduction to the Gene Keys, because I came through the lens of human design. And human design is what I feel like is kind of like an owner manual to how you are built, to who you are and what you're here to provide in the world and how best to move your energy through you. Kind of like to know the owner's manuals, to know how the oil works, the gas works, all of the engine parts, all of those things. And I feel like that's what human design really gives you. And then Gene Keys, I feel like, is the quantum realm of, it's like the quantum handbook for not only your specific genes and the keys within your genes that you are going to awaken or have the potential to awaken in your lifetime, but it really helps you connect to a wider field, a wider synthesis of what is available in the quantum realm. Because ultimately, what both kind of talk about it's all related back to the I Ching. And the I Ching is this beautiful system, this 5,000-year-old kind of divination system. But I almost feel like it's a system for understanding in a very poetic way and in a very deep way the undercurrents and the vibrations and the fractal nature of this cosmic world. So there's something really beautiful in that for me. And so the gates in human design and the Gene Keys are the same thing. They are the 64 I Ching. And the 64 kind of codons in the body, the DNA codons in the body, relate to those. And that's how the Gene Keys kind of came about. Now, the author of the Gene Keys, which was Richard Rudd, he received this in a download, and he was a student, if you will, of the human design system. So for him, there was a natural kind of transition. So my introduction through human design, I don't want to break down all about human design and Gene Keys. I'll save that for another podcast. My initiation into this world of Gene Keys was this word allow. It was actually allow and gentleness. And both of those, for whatever reason, I was full-blown resistance. And so I just want to invite you right now, just for a moment, if you will. It doesn't matter what you're doing, if you're driving, if you're at work, if you're, just hanging out with your kids. I want you to really see, how does the word allow feel in your body? When you think about allowing, allowing your feelings space to breathe, to be, allowing your experiences to be felt, to be fully present with your experiences. And the places that it was the most difficult for me to really wrap my mind around, and I kind of say that with, parentheses, because allowing is not a mental exercise. And this is what I learned. But in the beginning, when I was trying to wrap my brain around it, I was I'm supposed to allow these horrible emotions that I'm feeling. I'm supposed to just allow my anxiety. I'm supposed to just allow my anger. I'm supposed to allow my frustration. And I was like, I am not here for this. Like, no, please show me the short circuit way to deal with this so that I don't have to actually deal with those emotions. And there was something, of course, I kind of laugh now because it's like, that was the ego trickster wanting to get to the high ground without actually doing the work of walking the journey to get to there. And so I laugh now kind of looking back at it, but I remember being so frustrated. And one of the key parts of allowing is actually pausing. It's one of the key tenets also within the Gene Keys. When you are asked to work with this work, it's a very contemplative system. And contemplation is really about observation, taking ownership of your portion of things in life, taking responsibility of what you're feeling and thinking and what's going on the inside, and becoming curious about it. Now, that's my definition because that's how I've worked with contemplation. Contemplation is this beautiful marrying of meditation and concentration, where you're concentrating on something. Maybe that's yourself, their thoughts, being the observer, and you're kind of spending time. That's what meditation is, taking space, being the observer, holding space for it. And in a very, masculine energy, not masculine person, not masculine as an identity, not masculine as a body part, but masculine energy, that go, that aggressive, that do. In that society, right? Our society right now, especially in the US where I am, it's a very masculine driven, success, accomplishment, goal-oriented world. So to just like sit and receive and be present and allow, very uncomfortable, like extremely uncomfortable. And it's really funny because, of course, now I've been practicing this allow, accept, embrace for the last, probably 3 or 4 years. And I love it. I live by it. Like, it's incredible. And of course, I try and get all my clients to kind of embrace this. And of course, the first thing they do is like, what? I don't compute. I don't understand. But what do I do? And I am not surprised in the slightest by that because that's where I was. I totally understand. But really looking at this idea of allowing. So let's imagine, or you know what, I'll just tell you a story. So recently this week, I had to take my husband to the dentist. He is afraid of the dentist, which there are a lot of people that are. Totally respect it, totally love it, no worries. But he likes to go ahead and be put under because of the fear that's there in order to get the dental work that he needs done. So he was kind of put under anesthesia. That is a hard word to say, y'all. Anyways, so he was put under and when he came out, I took him home, but at first stopped, dropped off his prescription and then took him home. Well, you know how sometimes we have like funny ways of being after we've been under anesthesia for a while? Like some of us say funny random things and some of us will like act like little kids. I love him. He does kind of act like a little toddler and it's super adorable and it's super cute. And he like gets all, I want zebra cakes and I want to feel better. And it's like the most precious thing in the entire world. And I think anybody who has a husband can probably understand that when you're taking care of your loved one, sometimes they need a little nurturing. So in this, though, what was really fascinating was we went up to the door and I went to go open the door for him and he was like, I got it. And what was really funny for me was it really felt like a little kid that's being stubborn, wants to tell you that they can do it and to let them do it. And all you're trying to do is help, right? In that moment, all I was trying to do was help. And then, I tried again. I was like, babe, just let me. Oh, I can do it. And so finally I let him open the door. But what I noticed in myself, like pretty immediately, was I got really angry. I got really pissed off. And I was like, but why? Like, why is this here? It doesn't make sense in the situation. Like, he's not doing anything mean or malicious. It was so funny to me. So I got him inside and got him some water. And then I left to go get his prescription for him because I had just dropped it off. That's all I had done earlier. So when I left, I really allowed myself, and that's what I want you to hear in this. I allowed myself that first step, allowing. I allowed myself to feel that feeling. to feel the anger and the frustration. And I wasn't trying to find, I wasn't trying to find the root cause. I wasn't trying to point fingers or blame. I wasn't trying to say, oh, well, because he did this, I then felt this. No, I just allowed. I allowed myself to feel that feeling. And so how I do this is I turn my attention into my body, because what I've learned so much about emotions and any experience that we have related to, our thoughts and our feelings and our just life is it's energy. It's energy that's actually moving through our body. And so when we can tap into the body and really say, hey, where am I feeling this? Do I feel this in my belly? Do I feel this in my chest? Do I feel this in my throat? And allowing myself to come in contact with the energy of that emotion in an embodied way. It allows me to separate from what happened to what it is that is currently happening, right? That's allowing. And in that, I wasn't trying to solve it. I wasn't trying to get rid of it. It wasn't like, oh, I need to get rid of this because this is a terrible feeling to have for the situation. I shouldn't be upset or pissed off at my husband. There was no judgment. There was no shaming. There was just this allowing of, what am I feeling right now? Oh, I'm feeling angry. Where am I feeling this? Oh, I'm kind of feeling this in my chest and my stomach, and it kind of feels like it's moving outwards. Okay, is there anything else I can recognize or bear witness to in this feeling? And that bearing witness can also be a really beautiful way of looking at it, because you're just being the witness to the energy moving past. It's kind of like, be the witness to the hurricane. Don't become the hurricane. Be witness to, the things that are happening. You don't have to necessarily become them. And in that, when I kind of ask that question, like, okay, is there anything else that's here that I'm not seeing? Or even asking that emotion. Sometimes I will straight up talk to that emotion or that energy in my body and be like, hey, so anger, you're here. How are you? I see you came for tea. What can I get you? It's like I just kind of open it up and allow that energy to be present within me. And what was amazing was in that place of allowing, I also get still, number one, I get present, number two, and I become the observer, okay? Kind of like watching, feeling, noticing, right? So I noticed that underneath this like anger, there's actually some other things that were like there, but it was almost like they were hidden. I couldn't quite see them. And I think at one point I was like, what else is here? Because I could feel it, but I couldn't quite grasp it. And the first word that came to my mind was rejection. Rejection. I felt rejected. I wasn't just hurt. I felt rejected, right? I wasn't just angry. It was in response to something that was triggered within me. And what was beautiful in that moment was I was actually really excited that I noticed that there was a component of rejection that was present. And what I want you to also hear in that is I didn't then go accusing my husband of rejecting me. Okay, so number one, it would absolutely be ridiculous for me to accuse my husband while he's, under anesthesia, whatever that word, while he's under the medicine, to get mad at him for rejecting me for rejecting my help. Like there was like a whole bunch of like this story that is playing on loop, right? Like is so messed up. But that's a little bit of a judgment, right? I just in that moment was like, oh, rejection. Okay, rejection's here. And then I remember thinking, oh wait, is there anything else here? And then what came up is unappreciated. So in that moment, the reason I was experiencing anger was because there were two underlying emotions that kind of got triggered, right? And when I allowed myself to really feel it and to be present to it and to be curious about it even, I actually awakened myself to seeing what else was there. And a part of allowing is also accepting. And I really want to put, there's a beautiful thing here with acceptance, because for me, acceptance isn't accepting that bad people do bad things to us. No, you can learn about the situation and realize that bad behavior needs to be dealt with, or, abusive behavior or traumatic behavior needs to be handled, and you need to get yourself safe. So that's not what this is about. Acceptance also is not I guess I just have to accept this the way that it is. Like, I just have to accept I'm angry. And it's kind of a giving up or giving in, rather than a curious or softening into a gentleness, an acceptance of what is. And my best example for this is when you have a rainy day, you just accept that, oh, okay, I guess today is a rainy day and we're going to have to move forward the way we would move forward in a rainy day. Or if it's a snow day, well, I accept that it's a snow day and we just move on, right? It's not an anger about it. It's not a dismissing it. It's, okay, now how do we move forward within the context of this experience? So for me, when I'm allowing, I'm also practicing acceptance. I'm accepting that I'm having this emotional experience and it's moving through my body, and I can choose to get curious in response, or I can choose to blindly respond with the feeling. And that's sometimes conscious and sometimes unconscious. So in the situation where I realized, oh, there's this component of rejection and a component of feeling unappreciated, I also knew that none of those emotions were perfectly fitting for the situation. I took them as mine, right? They are my experience. They're the experience I am having, not the experience of what somebody did to me, because that becomes I'm pointing fingers. No, I'm taking ownership of, this is an experience that's bubbling up in me. And I get to choose to actively seek out why it's happening for me, to accept it as this incredible part of my journey, and to accept that I get to learn from it. And that starts to move you into embracing, where you actually get to embrace, wow, there's this wounded part of me that reacts so intensely to rejection. Even rejecting of a simple act as me trying to help someone. And I kind of look at this, because I kind of looked at myself a little bit, and I was like, well, what are the degrees of rejection that I respond to? When I offer somebody a cup of tea or a glass of water or some soda when they come over, hey, do you want some water or something? And they say, no, thank you. I don't feel rejected. When I'm offering the same courtesy of opening the door and being help to somebody, or helping a client, or asking a new customer for a sale, and I am rejected, at what degree do I then feel rejected as a person? Because that's where the line was. It wasn't that the act of what I was offering was rejected. It was that it felt like a rejection of me at the core of who I am. And so I got to accept that as like a story that is playing. I could accept that was there, and I could immediately be like, well, that's dumb. I shouldn't believe that. But it's real. If I just dismiss it and say, oh, that's dumb, and say, well, if I offered some water and they rejected me, I wouldn't feel like I was rejected as a person, right? That's my gremlins trying to kind of be, a jerk face about the situation and judge me. But in that situation, what I actually wanted to do was soften my heart to the places that have deeply felt rejected in situations where it didn't make sense for me to feel the rejection. And in reality, there's nothing in this world that can reject the value of who I am and what I bring to the world. Like, there's no one. Like, that level of rejection is above everyone's pay grade. Nobody can reject me at that level. Somebody out there can hate everything that they hear about me and what I have to share with the world and what I have to give. And that doesn't matter. I still have value, innate value, as a soul, as a human being in this world. And there's nothing that can come anywhere close to rejecting that valuable part of who I am. And I believe that's true of everybody. I also realized in this, I've also worked a lot with the gene keys. So I did realize in this kind of allowing, accepting, and beginning to embrace, because I'm not fully in the embrace of it, right? I realized that a part of my core wound in the gene keys, there's a specific sphere that talks about your core wound. But a part of my core wound that I live and breathe in this life, that I'm healing, as we all are healing a core wound, is actually about rejection. So there was such this beautiful, in my eyes, I had this experience of like how sacred and beautiful that this very benign experience, and it was benign, thankfully, beautifully, it was benign. It wasn't somebody maliciously coming after me and rejecting me. It was just a loved one, having a day and not wanting my help. Like, no big deal. Because it was benign, and because I took the time to really allow myself to be present with it, to accept the things that were really coming up and to see them for what they were, I then could embrace it as an experience of, this is a place in my life that I get to help heal the wounding story of the collective around rejection. Because I know, and this is for you too, when you heal any part within yourself, you not only heal it for yourself, but for your ancestral line, for your family, and ultimately for the collective. That's the power of doing your own inner healing, is you, through your own healing process and healing journey, you are also healing the collective, the quantum field at a vibrational capacity. So that's very quantum, and I don't need to go way into that. And I won't. I'll bring it back down. My little Aquarius got way up there in the clouds. So let me bring it back down to earth for you. When you are experiencing any type of, for lack of better terms, a bubbling up of anxiety, a bubbling up of shame, guilt, frustration, bitterness, jealousy, anger, like any kind of bubbling up of any emotion, that's when I invite you to take a moment to pause and allow that feeling to be present. And not just present as in, how could they do that? What were they thinking? What's going on? Like the verbiage in your head that's playing the story on repeat and defending yourself and writing the script and doing all the things, right? Don't be in your head. This is about getting into your body. Sometimes the best way to do that is to take your hands and place them on your belly. That way you're really honing in on coming into this center. And allow yourself to feel this energy, emotion as it's coursing and moving through you. And I like to use this, this practice of, where do I feel it in the body? What does it have to say? What does it have to share with me? What does it have to teach me? I like to become inquisitive, almost as though, this energy is a teacher that's shown up and I get to sit with it and receive its wisdom. And I do choose to look at the energy that way. I can choose not to. And there are times where I don't. I'm very human. The guy cuts me off and I'm like, you, and all the cuss words come out and it's a lot of fun. I'm still human. I still judge people. I'm still just a dick sometimes, for lack of a better terms. And that's okay. But what's really important is for us to take the time to really allow ourselves to kind of come into this feeling and just allow space around that energy, around the experiences that we're having in life, allowing ourselves to come into the present moment with all the little things that we're feeling and seeing and observing about ourselves, happening within ourselves. And then we can begin to practice acceptance. Now, the embrace portion kind of happens in a way on its own. And the embrace is a journey, right? start with allowing and moving into acceptance. And again, acceptance is about accepting that these are the emotional cards, these are the thought cards, these are the experience cards that are on the table right now. When you can really accept all the pieces that are moving in this game of your experience, then you can actively make a different choice or choose that you want to have a different experience. And then you can make a shift. But it's that first level of acceptance, and also maybe accepting that this is the experience you're having in this present moment, but it doesn't mean it's going to be here forever. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that are afraid that it's going to be forever. And I promise you, it's not. It's not going to be forever. In fact, the more you allow it and the more you are present to it, whatever the experience is, the more you can actually move into acceptance, and then you can activate out of or into a new experience. And then embracing is really embracing the lesson, the learning, the opportunity that is there for you. So in that situation, one of the things that I really embraced was there's this deep wounding pattern that I get to dance with around rejection, and that there has been a huge attachment in my life to rejection and feeling not appreciated or feeling unappreciated. And so I can then take those, that's kind of the acceptance portion for me. And so I still haven't, some of it I still haven't fully brought into embracing, because what I want to do now is I accept that there's a loop. There is kind of like, if you think about coding or you think about wiring, wire 1 is connected to wire 2. So when this happens, this is triggered, right? So there's definitely this connection between the rejection component and my feeling unappreciated. So now I can start to kind of look at my life, different situations that have happened, or I can move forward and kind of think about different situations when they come up. Is that loop being triggered? And how do I want to feel? And also, what is rejection ultimately teaching me? It's not teaching me that I need to go out and do it all by myself. No, it's actually teaching me how to deeply and profoundly let love in. Let love in and feel the love that is not only in my life and all around me, but is in the stranger that opens the door for me unexpectedly, or the kindness that's giving to me in ways I can't even imagine. It's me softening my heart, actually, to allow myself to feel and experience love. That's one potential of what rejection can teach you if you allow it. Again, with that allowing. So I hope you've gotten something amazing out of this allow, accept, embrace, and seen a little bit about what my journey has been. I really do enjoy the Gene Keys and what they have taught me, and I really have enjoyed this experiment and experience that I currently am still living in and living through of allowing, accepting, and embracing. My invitation for you as you move forward in the next few weeks or few days is, how can you practice pausing and allowing your experience, allowing yourself to be present, allowing yourself to be curious, and maybe even allowing yourself to be playful, even with the challenging experiences as much as with the amazing experiences.